Hey guys, Bella Dragon here, and I'm going to be giving my short review on the recent anime film that has just been released on the US in properties of Funimation. Thank you, Funimation, for releasing this film. So this film was released last year, and a lot of people who did somehow manage to see it started talking about it. A lot of people started talking about it, saying that this is a really good film. But then, of course, as soon as it got released in the U.S., and then more people saw it, this film has been getting like the biggest positive reception. I mean, it has like a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. And in a way, I was kind of curious to see what this was. And so I watched the trailer and then I'm just like, "Oh, it's one of those movies." It's okay, so the movie's pretty much just about a boy and a girl swapping bodies. And I'm just like, okay, so this is going to be like Freaky Friday, just a very comedic, funny film. Um, and nothing much happens, right? Like, it's just being funny, they're trying to learn out of each other. Usually, this is like siblings, like brother and brother, sister and sister, like, uh, it's just these kind of two things. So, okay, then, where is this going? And then after seeing Chris Stuckman's review about it, I just decided, okay, I'm gonna go see this. So this film has recently been released, in theaters limitedly. I think it's still in theaters. I'm not sure, but I would tell you that to go see it, but I'm gonna have to talk about it. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you I'm right now gonna go into story, then I'm going to give my positive and negatives, and then during like at some point I'm gonna go to spoilers. So I will warn you when this is gonna head to spoiler territory. But for now, yeah, the film. The film is called Your Name, and the film is directed by Makoto Shinkai. I am sorry if I pronounced that wrong. And so the plot of the film is about these two characters whose names are, the boy's name is Taki and the girl is named Mishuha. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, okay? So throughout this whole review, I'm just going to call them the boy and the girl in the movie. So, okay. So the basic story of the film is about, of course, the same idea. One day, the girl of the movie wakes up and she's wondering like about the world. She starts to wonder about the world, and she's starting to question her life, like saying that she doesn't want to live a farm life anymore, and she pretty much just goes to school, lives a farm life with her family, her grandmother and her sister. And so she wishes that this she wanted to live the life in like a city life, a more city life than this farm life. And then we see that the next day is not the second day, it's the third day she wakes up, and she finds out that in the last day, her friends start telling her, like, why was she acting so weird? Why was she acting so weird, and what's what is wrong with her, what happened to her yesterday. And she started to wonder, like, was something wrong with me yesterday? I have no idea what happened. So she starts to question what happened. And so in one scene in the movie, they start to give you a little hint, like the pretty much the basic premise of what this movie's trying to tell you, like this little hint. There's this one part where she's in school and this teacher is giving out this test, or probably like essay, and this essay is explaining like, who are you, like. And so she's having a hard time understanding like what this like she's having a hard time understanding or even bothering to write anything, and because she's starting to question something. And then the next day we start to get to the boy's perspective, and the boy is not the boy. She actually play the girl is inside the boy, and then like she pretty much tries to figure out his life, and then the boy wakes up the next day, and his friends wonder what happened to him. So this movie's basically like they go swapping bodies together, hijinks ensues, and pretty much they both try to live each other's lives while also trying to keep each other in check. Like in one part in the movie, they try to get on each other's cell phones to write down like notes to saying how to treat their life and how they should respect them, even to the point of writing down everything in detail, like in their hands so they don't forget, and even in their face. They start to write down like, "Don't do this, don't do that," and I'm just like, okay, this is starting to get really funny. But then you start to figure out that the film is not just doing this basic thing. There's some more story to the film, and that's where the spoiler territory gets into him, because I don't think I should explain any more than that. So right now, I'm just going to get to the positive and negatives, and then I'll get into spoiler territory. So, what are my positives of this film? My positives is the comedy. One positive thing is about the comedy of the film. The comedy of this film is very well done. Like, the animation does this comedy justice. I mean, it's not that the animation's too good, that there's not really good expression towards these characters, or it's not that great that you can't really see any comedy going through this, but what this animation is very well made. Like, this is really top-notch animation that it's like, I mean, I don't like comparing to Hayao Miyazaki or other anime films like I saw from Mamoru Hosoda. I think this animation is like almost a like in between these two very well this directors. I shouldn't compare, but it's well done animation. I can give it that the animation does well for the comedy, and the comedy of the film is really good. One example, like this one scene in the movie where it's kind of a running joke. So the little girl, I really like the little girl who is the sister of the girl in the movie. There's this one scene where the boy wakes up with the girl's body, and he just decides to touch the girl's boobs when he's in her body. I'm just like, and then like the little sister comes in and just like, wake up, you have to get to school. And okay, so why do you keep doing that? I'm just and like on and on. You think like, okay, so this is gonna get old at some point, but each time that it's done, like, this is literally a running joke. They do this for like the first and second half of this film, and I'm just like, how is this not getting old? I'm just like, do they just find new ways of the right time when we're supposed to have this joke? And I'm not kidding, he does this constantly every single time he wakes up with the girl's body. And even the sister at one point is just like, wow, you must really like touching your boobs. Like, it's just this really funny moments in this movie. I know it's a little immature, but like, they somehow make this funny. And I don't know how. Okay, so another example of this is another example of a really funny moment in this movie. This is a little out of context, but so there's a scene where the girl is in the boy's body, and so the girl realizes that the boy has a crush on the female owner of a restaurant. So she tries after the owner gets her pants ripped. The girl decides to go fix the owner's pants in the closet, and then she asks her like, okay, could you take off your pants? And I'm just like, what? Like, I'm just like, because she's in the boy's body, so obviously it's weird to her to say that. But then, of course, the owner thinks that maybe the boy has some kind of feminist side to him, thinking that he's probably understands women. So then fixing the pants and just like this, and then so the boy ends up somehow going on a date with the owner, and a lot of his friends are jealous, and even to the point of just why and how did this happen. And it's just really funny how much like somehow the girl tries to help him, but at the same time she doesn't even know how he feels about her. So it's kind of this back and forth kind of thing. It's just like, you have to see the movie to find out. Another positive of this movie is a bunch of the characters. one character in particular, the girl's grandmother, you think that she would much not really be important to the film, but then she's kind of the person who figures out what's going on, and she figured out very quickly how this happens, and this leads to the big plot point of this movie. But like I said, not gonna spoil it. But I really like the characters are very smart and also funny. I especially like the boy's friends who pretty much just tell him that he should really just focus on trying to do more for his life, but he somehow doesn't know what to do. And because they're already prepared for their lives, so he's trying to prepare for his life. And of course, there's even moments where even the friends between the girl and the boy, there's these two friends who somehow have the girl's friends have this special club where they do radio frequencies, and you think that this is very interesting in the film, but then somehow this kind of information somehow is very relatable to what's going to happen in the climax of the film. It's somehow a helping thing, very helpful in in the climax of the film, and I'm just like, wow, they must have been really thinking about this when they made these characters. They must have been really thinking. There's something that happens, but like I said, no spoilers. Okay, so, all right, my negatives of this movie. So, like I said, I'm not gonna go too deep, but there's this point in the movie where I think pretty much the majority of this film, of course, the boy and the girl switching bodies. I'm just wondering, how did the girl's grandmother figure this out, but not everybody else? Even the little sister of the girl doesn't figure it out, at all. She never figures out that there's a boy in her sister's body, and it's very obvious in this one scene, and then she still doesn't figure it out. And not even the friends don't figure out at all, and that's that's a negative in the movie, because here's the thing. If it's very obvious that there's something going on, even if I was in this position, if I was one of the friends of these characters, I would pretty much know, what's going on. That's not my friend. There is no way that these people are that stupid in the movie, that they would not figure out that these characters are two different people, the boys in the girl body and the girl in the boy's body. I'm just wondering, how on earth did they not figure it out? I mean, there's another person who figures it out, but like I said, okay, another negative in this movie is there's this point of the film where they're trying to explain something. There's an explanation of how they're switching bodies. It's explained in a way at one point, okay, they're trying to make this obvious that this is the cause of it, but then out of nowhere there's a jump to a different story where it's actually the true explanation of why this is happening. And even if you're driving to the point of your expectations, it's kind of strange, how this is happening. But then I start to think about it, and then I'm just like, oh yeah, I forgot. This is an anime. But maybe it's because this anime does it in such a real way that you would never think that they would go for these magical, mystical things that they usually have in anime films. And these weird, strange things that usually are very fine and normal, that a lot of people see this in anime films. But you see the movie, the story and the way the characters are developed, you feel like it's done in a way this could be something in a live action film. You can see this film in live action, but then at the same time, there's this kind of thing, this anime-ish thing that's happening in the film that you're just this kind of takes away from the relatable reality that the film was going through, and then it just disappears during the climax, it disappears, that kind of feel. Like I said, it's more explained, but I won't get there. So yeah, but overall, this is a very great film, very wonderful film. I recommend to go see it. Okay, so right now I'm heading into spoiler territory, so yeah, I say go see this film. It's really a great film that definitely takes the idea of swapping bodies in such a unique way. But alright, so I'll give you a moment, and right now we are heading into spoiler territory. Okay, so this is where the film gets okay. So after the swapping body story and the hijinks ensues, so the boy eventually figures out when he finally gets back in his own body that when and then at some point like the boy's in the girl's body, he sees that there's this special festival happening, and so this festival is about like the sky glowing into in rainbowish colors, and so then they see like a meteor, a shooting star is passing by, and so the boy looks up, and then somehow the shooting star is actually a meteor, and the meteor is crashing into the town of the girl, and the girl is literally on top of the meteor and it's about to crush them, and then the boy wakes up. And then the boy wakes up and he's in his own body. And so he's wondering why he's not swapping with the girl's body anymore. And then we get to a complicated point where we find out that this is like so strange. Like, I don't know how. Like, how did that. Okay, so he finds out that the town that the girl was in, he literally finds the town and found out that the town is in wreck. Like, it's been destroyed. And he's wondering, how is that possible if he's been in that girl's body? And so he talks to his friends, taking him to the town, of course, and seeing that town wrecked. Um, he wonders what happened there. And so he finds out from people on the side, like, you know, in a diner, saying that people died there after a meteor got shot down. And, like, he's wondering, but that can't be true. He's spoken to her, like, and he's been into her body. And then, so he looks for the text that the girl has been sending him, and then the texts start to disappear. Like, this is, and then the film starts to get to the point where, okay, so I guess I know where this is going. This is kind of like time travel, is it? Like, and so then he finds out that the girl has actually died, that he was in a dead girl's body. And so he's just wondering, how is this possible? But then I don't, and then he somehow finds this mountain with an eclipse with an eclipse, a painting of an eclipse, like, you know, and he starts to find out that there's this special meteor which I think he reads this inscription about a meteor that somehow splits between time and a person. And he starts to the movie kind of explains that, so this meteor was the reason why this boy and girl switched bodies, because they somehow split between their points of view, but not through the same time, but through 2 to 3 years ago. I am not making this up. That is the explanation of this movie. So supposedly the girl existed 2, 3 years ago before the boy, but supposedly the girl kind of knew that was going to happen, and it gets a little complicated at this point. But then, of course, the boy then tries to figure out if he can go back to the girl's body, because he's thinking, like, I gotta save them. Like, he wants to stop the meteor from crashing there. I'm just like, you can't do that. Oh gosh, let's hope it doesn't go there. But no, that's not what happens. That's not what happens. So then the boy and the girl somehow, out of nowhere, decided, okay, we're going to figure this out. We have to figure this out. Like, you know, so they try to communicate with each other a little bit. And for somehow, like, the girl decides to go into the mountain where that inscription is. At the same time, the boy is there where he's sleeping. And I don't know what happened, but somehow between the sun, like literally a split sun, like a sun that is full of light and a sun that's full of darkness, So they decide to go cross between each other through the timeline, and they literally meet face to face, but in a parallel time dimension. Oh my gosh. I'm just like, what am I watching now? Like I said, you might think I'm going nuts, but that's what happened that's what's happening in the film. That's what's happening. And then they're talking to each other. They're like talking to each other through different timelines, but they're in some kind of portal of a timeline. It's just so weird. It's so weird. And so they start to, but they talk normally, like saying, oh, like, how are you? How you been doing? So we finally get to meet face to face. And then, of course, funny things like, I cannot believe you made me try to date the owner of where I work. I'm I'm just wondering, why'd you touch my boobs when you were in my body? Like, I'm just like, oh, I guess we're even. And there's just like this funny moments. And so they're just talking to each other normally. And then so they decide to write each other's names on the hands because they don't want to forget, because they feel like with the timeline they're going to forget. And so then the boy doesn't write, the boy or the, it was the girl. It was the girl who doesn't write fast enough, and then somehow the moon, like the sun and the moon, somehow split back up again, and now they're both in their own timelines once again. And now there's no way that the boy can warn the girl, but then somehow the girl figures out already what the boy told her. And so now she's trying to figure out how she can fix this, trying to alert everyone in her town to escape from the meteors that are coming. And it doesn't get too complicated. It's pretty much basic. She warns everybody. At first they don't believe them, and then other times they try to believe them. And then the girl finally is starting to forget the boy's name, but the boy doesn't write his name on it. He writes probably a very, very heartwarming message to her. And I kind of really, I almost like cried during that scene. I'm just like, oh gosh, that's really wonderful. And then the movie kind of gives you a hint. It doesn't explain to you very quickly, but it gives you a hint that the girl did manage to tell everybody and that they listened to her. And then the meteor crashes, and then 3 years or many 10 years later, the boy grows up, he has a job, and now he's trying to pretty much just live his life. And he's wondering, and now he's just trying to figure out, did he do the right thing? Is the girl safe? And so during this, so the boy just decides to walk around town, and we see the girl's friends at a cafe, and then we kind of get a hint like maybe she survived, and then it goes to the point like, okay, it's having this depressing music, kind of giving the point like, okay, maybe she didn't survive, but then all of a sudden we see the girl. They're both adults. And so they finally tried to talk to each other, and it's just this is where I kind of felt like it kind of wasn't well paced. It kind of lasted a little longer than it should. It overstayed its welcome a little bit. But like the boy and the girl tries to go like with each other, trying to get to each other, trying to like meet each other, and it just goes way overboard. And so then they finally look at each other, but then start to realize like, is it right to talk to each other? Because they'd never really known each other that much. So they just decide to pass by each other, and then the girl just decides just to go up to the boy and just ask him, like, do you remember me? And then they smile at each other, and pretty much and then big time title drop, your name, what's your name? And so the movie ends. Well, that was fun. Okay, so yeah, like all this happens throughout the movie. I mean, if you've seen it, then you obviously know how the experience was. It's a little weird for me, but at the same time, I couldn't help myself because it's really well done. They somehow managed to make this time travel moment actually make sense, even though it feels way out of line for what the story was trying to make up. But yeah, I really loved Your Name, the film. Your Name, the film. So yeah, that's my quick review of Your Name, and I hope you manage to go see it soon. But if you've already been here, you have seen it. So yeah, Your Name, it's amazing. I don't know how to end this, so see ya. Belt Dragon signing out.